Good morning. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to deal with one of the most important topics in English grammar. That is the tenses of English verbs. This topic is usually very confusing and students have difficulty especially in deciding what auxiliary goes with some particular tense or how to form questions. Because I'll say now and I'll repeat it, I'll be going on repeating it for the whole lesson. Auxiliary verbs, to know what auxiliary verb is needed for each tense is of primary importance in order to make a proper question and a correct negative form. So, before going deeper into the tenses, we must clarify some grammar terms. Maybe some of you have familiarity with these terms, others have not. So let's go briefly on these terms. So we have a common ground. We are all on the same page when we talk about the verbs, right? What is an auxiliary verb first? An auxiliary verb is a verb that is used together with a main verb to show time and continuity. And this is very important because time, it gives us present, past, and future tenses, while continuity gives us simple, progressive, and perfect tenses. I have taken this definition by the Collins-Cobbild web page. Collins-Cobbild is a dictionary and the publishing house has written many grammars, and so I trust them definitely. So, what are the auxiliaries in English? In English, we have two primary auxiliary and one supporting auxiliary. If you look here, maybe I can show you, we can have the verb to be and the verb to have that are primary auxiliaries, and they are used to construct compound tenses. For example, I use the verb to be to make the present continuous, right? I am teaching this moment. I use the verb have to construct the present perfect. I have already eaten. Just a minute ago, I had a croissant, so I have already eaten. I don't need to eat anymore. And here it is repeated for you in proper grammar terms. What is do then? Good. There are some tenses that in the affirmative form do not have any auxiliary expressed. These tenses are simple present and the simple past. But in order to make a question or a negative, in English, I always need an auxiliary. So what do I do when I don't have an auxiliary? I use a supportive auxiliary or dummy auxiliary, means fake auxiliary. It's not really an auxiliary, right? For example, it is formed in use. It is used, in forming negatives. I don't play tennis. I do not play tennis. In questions, do you like pizza or sushi? And in emphatic statements, that's a very advanced use of the verb to do. For example, I do believe you. It means I really believe you, right? Then we have another category of auxiliary verbs that have some meaning of their own, and they are the modal auxiliary verb. What are modals? We all know them. They are may, might, will, would, shall, should, must. Maybe I'm forgetting something. These verbs, they are modals. They express the mode with which we perform an action. For example, I perform the action of playing with the mood of necessity. I must play basketball. Okay, it's an order. This necessity, this mood is expressed by the modal verb. But they have also another characteristic, that they are auxiliary. What does this mean? That they form the question by going at the very front of the sentence. In fact, if I have to form a question with be, I'll say, am I going to the market? Am is in the first position. Or with have you already done your homework? Have is in the first position. But now let's imagine to have to do a question with the verb play. You don't say play you tennis because there's no auxiliary there. And questions in English always start with an auxiliary. So you need this supportive auxiliary do. Do you have to play basketball? Do you play basketball? So we do. Or did you play basketball yesterday? If there's no auxiliary, we must use the auxiliary, the dummy auxiliary do. And with modals, generally when you ask, can you dance? Should you go? Or I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Would you come to my party? Or will you open the window? With will, would, should, can, and so on and so forth. The will, may, might, and so on go on in the first position, right? So they are modal because they express necessity, possibility, capability, but they are also auxiliary because they go in the front position when making a question. Good. There are some other grammar terms that we should be familiar before looking at the examples in order to have, I already said, this common ground of reference. So when I say base form, everybody understands the same thing. Otherwise, it's chaos, it's mayhem. So let's start with this word coming from Greek called paradigm. Paradigm in ancient Greek meant example or model. In nowadays linguistic terms, it is a set of items. It means a series of pieces of language that are mutually exclusive. So if in a certain sentence I need to use eat, it's impossible that I could also use ate. They are mutually exclusive. If I use one, I cannot use the other, right? And the most famous paradigm is the paradigm of irregular verbs. And here I have the one for you: eat, ate, eaten. So the base form is the first item in the paradigm, and it is the infinitive without to, without the preposition to. So from the infinitive to play, I extract the base form play without anything else. Then I have the simple past. In regular verbs, the simple past is obtained by adding the ed to the base form. For example, from the base form play, I can have the simple past played. But for irregular verbs, we are not so lucky. So we have to go back to our paradigm and choose the second column, the second item in the paradigm. So the simple past of eat is ate, right? I don't know what is this eaten here left alone. Maybe it belongs to the past participle then. So the third item in the paradigm is the past participle eaten. Okay, with regular verbs, I add ed, so there is no difference between simple past and past participle. However, in the past participle of irregular verbs, I have to go and take the third form of the paradigm, which is eaten. So eat is the base form, ate is the simple past, eaten is the past participle. Please memorize these terms. Thank you. Good. Now we are ready to give some examples. For example, I am going to school. It has the auxiliary be plus the ing form. Sorry, in the grammar terms, I forgot to mention the gerund, the ing form. The ing form is obtained by adding ing to the base form. So we have to go, which is the infinitive. We take out the to and we are left with the base form go. We add ing and we obtain going. This form is called the gerund. Every tense with the gerund have a progressive aspect. It means they signal an action that goes on, that has a continuity. So for each progressive tense, the auxiliary must be to be. So be plus ing form. There's no other option. You can say have going. That's not correct. It doesn't exist. If you want to make mistakes with verbs that exist. I have eaten too much. We have the past participle, eaten, and with the past participle, we have the auxiliary to have. So we have a perfect aspect. Perfect aspect means something that has happened. We don't mind when, we are only interested in the fact that this action has taken place. It has happened. So I have eaten too much. I don't know, maybe a minute ago, maybe, I don't know, right? So there's no time adverbial specified after the present perfect. And with the perfect aspect, I always need the auxiliary have. What do we do when we have the simple present and past? We have I eat or I ate. So I do not have auxiliary there in the affirmative form. So I need to put the dummy auxiliary. Do. So, do you like gliding? Gliding is what you do with that kind of airplane without engine. Very, very scary. But some people like it. So, sorry. And here again, some other examples with the modal auxiliary. You should study more. After the modal, we always must put the base form. So, should study. Can you open the window? Remember, it's an auxiliary, a modal auxiliary. So it goes in the question in the first position, can, then the subject, as always, and then the base form. Can you open the window? And then, most important of all, because we use this modal auxiliary to form the future, it's will. I will call you tomorrow. And when we have to make a question, I'll say, will I call you tomorrow? Putting the will in the first position. So, by what we have said, we can make a summary of the time in which tenses appear. They could be present, past, or future, and the aspects in which they can appear. So by crossing present, the time, with the type of continuity that the aspect means, we have, for example, the simple present, or the present continuous, or the present perfect, or the present perfect continuous. That's for present tenses. Again, it's the same, absolutely the same things with the past. We can have the past simple, past progressive, past perfect, past perfect continuous, and simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Let's have a look at the simple tenses, at the present tenses. What do I have? In the simple affirmative, I just use the base form. So I eat. In the progressive, present progressive, I use the auxiliary to be plus the gerund. Remember, to be plus the gerund means continuity, progression. So I am eating. With the present perfect, I have the perfect here. So I need the auxiliary have. And so my tense will be I have eaten. And then we have the perfect continuous, a little bit advanced verb that has been perfect because it has the perfect form of be, which is been, and the continuous because it has the continuous form of the main verb, eat, eating. So maybe I wasn't clear at the very beginning. We have auxiliary verb, modal auxiliary verb. What isn't modal auxiliary or auxiliary is called main verb. So in this case, eat, ate, eaten is the main verb. Okay, so what happens with questions and negatives? We must remember to use the correct auxiliary. So the very tricky part is here, because in the affirmative, I do not have any do or any have or be. So I don't see any auxiliary. When I do not see any auxiliary, I must use do. So do I eat in the interrogative, and I don't eat in the negative. In the progressive, perfect, and perfect continuous, we are luckier because in the affirmative form, we already have the auxiliary. So the only thing we need to do for the question is to put the auxiliary in the first place. So I am eating becomes am I eating? I have eaten becomes have I eaten? Sorry, I have eaten becomes have I eaten? And these terrible things, long and ugly, what is the auxiliary? The first auxiliary you find, it's have. So you put the first auxiliary in the first position. Have I been eating? The same happens in the negative, right? I don't eat, you use do. I am not eating, you use to be because it's progressive. I haven't eaten, you use have because it's perfect. And I haven't been eating, you use first the perfect and then the continuous, okay? So haven't been is the perfect. Haven't been is the present perfect of the verb to be, and then eating. Let's look what happens with the past. In the past, in the simple past, we take the second form of the paradigm. I ate. The rest goes as the rule dictates. So progressive, I use the simple past of to be. I was eating. Past perfect, I take the past of the verb have. I hadn't eaten. And the perfect continuous, I take the past perfect of be, which is hadn't been, and I add eating, the progressive. So it's exactly as I said, as eating is a gerund, it needs a verb, an auxiliary to be. And hadn't been is the past perfect of the verb to be. So no exception to this rule. This is a very good rule. The only problem is I ate. I do not have any auxiliary there. So when I don't have any auxiliary, my auxiliary is do. And so I'll have did I eat and I didn't eat. The rest goes as I said for the present tense. I have was here and it goes in the first position. Was I eating? Here I have had as an auxiliary, goes in the first position. Had I eaten? Here I have I had been. I only use the first part of the auxiliary had, and my question will be, had I been eating? Things get, things get trickier with the future because the future hasn't a proper form in English. Future in English is made up by using the modal auxiliary will plus the base form of the main verb. For example, to say that tomorrow I have a ticket, I go to the airport and then fly away, I say tomorrow I will fly. Will, modal auxiliary, fly, base form of the main verb. In fact, in the affirmative form here I have I will eat. The interrogative as will is a modal auxiliary. Modals go in the first position. will I eat? And in the negative, I will not eat, which is contracted in won't, right? Trickiest becomes the progressive, because I need the verb to be, because it's a progressive, but I need the verb to be in the future form. So how do I make the future of the verb to be? By using will and the base form of to be. So I will be, and that's the future of will, and then I add the gerund. I will be eating. And again, the question, the modal goes in the first position. Will I be eating? And the negative, I won't be eating. The perfect. In the perfect, I need the verb to have. So I need the verb to have in the future form. What is the future form of the verb to have? It's will plus the base form of have. That means I will have. And then I add the past participle. So I'm going to have this kind of thing. I will have eaten. Question. Will goes first. Will I have eaten? And negative, I will not or won't have eaten, right? Perfect continuous gets more and more complicated and longer. We will have longer phrase, verb phrases. What do I have? I need the future perfect of the verb to be. What is the future perfect of the verb to be? Is I will have, instead of eaten, I put been. I will have been, and then the gerund. I will have been eating. Question is simpler. Only will goes in the first position, and negative, I won't have been eating. Please make yourself familiar with this table, with this model. Print it out in front of your desk. Have it always in your book as a reference. You need to have it memorized when a test is scheduled or scheduled, if we want to use the English pronunciation. That's all for today, and have a good study. Bye.